gonna check the feeds and all the stuff I gotta do over here. And Jackie Chin is live on, we are live on Facebook. And go check over on the YouTube side of things. And I'm sure it'll catch up sooner or later. All right. We're getting ready to go. Hey, this is Jackie Chin, and you're listening to Zombie Palooza Radio Live. We haven't done one of these in, I can't even remember how long. Tonight on Zombie Palooza, we're going to be stepping deep into the trenches of indie horror filmmaking with a true multi-creative. Our guest is Ash Hamilton. He's an actor, a director, a producer, a writer. You get it by the multi-creative cinematographer and an editor whose career is rooted in the raw DIY spirit of micro-budget horror. He's the kind of filmmaker who doesn't wait for permission. He builds the nightmare himself, and then he invites the audience in. You may know his work from the UFO horror film Holes in the Sky, the Sean Miller story, the end times terror of Final Days, and now he's expanding into dark fantasy, audio storytelling with Dislocated, the first episode of a fictional podcast about a displaced gas station and the people trapped inside, brought to life by an incredible cast of voice actors. And we'll also be talking about the upcoming horror project, Mangled, the Shelby torture tapes. And tonight we're diving into indie film, DIY horror, audio storytelling, and the realities of creating fear on a budget. Ash, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. I have no idea how long it took me to actually write that. So tell the audience, outside of what I just said, a little bit more about you for those who do not know you.
I also do run an entertainment-based website, which is a horror-centric, called horrorfix.com. I've been doing that now for almost about 14 years. I was originally, traditionally, a fine artist. I was an illustrator for years and dabbled in doing some paintings, and a few books have my dust jackets and stuff out there of some of my work. So that was primarily what I was doing at one point in my life, was more very traditional art focused kind of stuff. But I was always a huge fan of horror films, and it just sort of naturally came about that I would eventually try my hand at it, later on. But yeah, I'm very accessible. Like I'm very accessible through my site. I'm very accessible through social media. So I like to talk to people, and I especially like to talk to people about horror because it's such a huge preoccupation of mine.
What was the first horror movie that made you decide you could do that?
It's strange because I think it's really a grassroots kind of thing. When you always think that you can do a film. Like most filmmakers always look at film and go, I can do this. This is something that I can do. It might not seem accessible because, especially coming from a generation where I'm a little bit older, the overhead of doing a film, when I was in my teens or my 20s,
hell yeah, it could be insane.
Was impossible. There was no way you could even think about doing it. I think starting to see films like Last Broadcast, Blair Witch Project, and stuff like that really sort of blew the lid open on I can create a narrative. It doesn't have to be $20 million. I could possibly sell it. I could possibly have a product. It's not just this idea of taking a camcorder, having you and some friends get together, and then something that you can show at parties. Because a lot of, a lot of even like straight to VOD stuff still seemed outside of the scope of what we could do because it was still budgets of $50,000, $100,000, stuff like that.
Right.
And then, pre-internet, it was really all about who you knew because it was very difficult to have something and find someone who was interested in pushing it to people that they knew, pushing it to a distributor, So, like, all of these years have really sort of escalated and sort of garnered more promise to the indie world of just what we're capable of doing with not just a small budget, but like no budget. That overhead has shrank to almost nothing. It's still great if you have it. Because if you have it, then obviously you can create multiple things and you're not breaking your own bank and you've got more opportunity. But watching something like the Blair Witch Project, for example, I think that was coming out of it, seeing it in the theater, and just recognizing it's like, okay, this is filmmaking that's even more run and gun, even more guerrilla than just about anything that you had ever seen at that point, or at least widely seen. There were still some films in sort of the found footage scope in genre, but nothing that really, like I said, blew the lid off of this idea of guerrilla filmmaking so much as Blair Witch Project did.
You've gotten some of your films into film festivals. This is I captured one of these photos off your webpage, and talk a little bit about your experience with film festivals and how this has shaped your future look on making indie film.
Film festivals are a double-edged sword. One thing that I am is I'm completely transparent. Like I will answer everything with a sometimes too much of a degree of honesty. But film festivals are hit and miss. They are. That's just sort of the nature of them. I will say that the nature of film festivals is also one that probably lends itself more to networking. They're great for networking. You're going to meet other filmmakers. If filmmakers have their films at a film festival, they might have brought some of their actors. So if you want to meet, new actors, it's a great way to step outside of those circles that are very difficult to break out of. And my other filmmaker friends and I talk about this quite a bit, that, after a while, even with social media, you seem to just be hitting the same people over and over again. You see a circle of, it might be 50 people or 100 people, but to break outside of that circle is extremely difficult. Because everyone holds their audience very close to their chest. They want to keep their audience. But I think when you start entering into the film festival community, you start meeting people where you can step into their circles. Some of those circles start to overlap. There's more cross-pollination. So I think that the idea of going to film festivals is great. Keep film festivals alive. I think it's one of the few truly great options for networking if you're an indie filmmaker. That being said, if you think you're going to put your film in a film festival and all of a sudden, Fox or Netflix or something is going to come up to you and go, hey, we just happened to plant somebody in the audience to see if they liked your film. They do. Sign this. There's a great big check.
Right. Yeah.
Hardly ever happens anymore.
Right. Let's talk about what did happen. What's going on with this new piece? It's called Mangled. The Shelby.
The Shelbyville torture tapes.
Yes.
So Mangled is a little bit different for me. I'm an enormous fan of true crime. I listen to true crime podcasts. I watch documentaries. It's sometimes to my detriment because, it's easy to get furious with the justice system. And true crime is a way to get furious with the justice system. So I wanted to create a story that felt very much like the true crime stories you hear about today where the investigations get botched or there is an element of injustice and stuff there. So I wanted to take that true crime element and sort of filter it through a very horror centric lens
Is
to
this a
see.
feature or is it a? How are you
Yeah,
going to put this out?
it is a feature film.
And
So
is it finished or is
we are
it in the
still shooting.
process?
Yeah, it is still in production. We have begun production. We have a considerable chunk of it already filmed, and right now we're still the way it's shot. There's some fluidity to it, so that we were able to shoot some stuff and worry about casting some other stuff later on. So
Is there
we're
anything
still
that you're
casting.
like looking for currently still?
We're
Anything you
look.
want to pop out there with?
We're definitely looking for people who are local to like Central Illinois through Indiana, even Ohio. Because as an indie filmmaker, the quickest way, and I hate to say this because I love my actors, but the quickest way to bloat your production is hiring crew from outside your region. It's just everything. The price goes up for everything. Putting people up in a hotel or an Airbnb, per diem every single day, travel, flights. Like if you want to spiral out
It's a
your
lot of
budget,
money.
just hire outside of your region. So we're definitely looking for people in region for Mangled.
Your first ever film that I interviewed you and I got to meet who Ash Hamilton is was from this film, Holes in
And
the
I
Sky.
apologize for it every time we talk.
You're- the creativity that you have, though, because you're literally going through different genres. And again, we have another Mangled. Who made this? The graphic.
That was also me. The film was shot from so that it's a production still, and then the
Right.
logo I made.
Because I've looked at a lot of film. I've looked at a lot of graphics coming from films, and when I saw that, it was like that doesn't look like. First of all, it's not AI, and we don't have enough time in this particular segment to go into that.
Yeah.
But it is the difference between a professional filmmaker and someone who just goes, I'm going to make a film in 12 hours and I'm going to use that 2-letter thing. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Let's see what else we got over here. I know we got another one. Yes. All right. So when I started looking at this and I actually went over to the episode, it was phenomenal. The sound, the voices, the storyline. Give us a little bit of that.
I'm a big fan of The Twilight Zone. I'm a big fan of Lost. I'm a big fan of From. I'm a big fan of some of these mystery box sort of horror shows. And this actually came from a dream that I had, strangely enough. So almost the entirety of the first episode was a dream that I had years ago that I'd been trying to find a way to do something with. And then when I started listening to a lot of audio dramas, especially a lot of horror themed audio dramas, I thought, oh, I might be able to finally utilize this dream that I wrote down and was trying to do something with. And for me, this is an excellent way for me to not have to worry about budget. Doing an audio drama, I still have to take care of my voiceover actors and everything, but like you can do almost anything with this. If you can find the sound and you can put it into the mind's eye and have people imagine it and visualize it that way, the sky's the limit. You can create Star Wars that way. You can create the Marvel universe on a dime, on a budget. And that's sort of what this is this the attempt to do a story that's very large. And it's very large but very intimate at the same time, which I know is sort of contradictory.
So where can people hear this?
They can hear it on YouTube. They can hear it on Spotify. They can actually, if you have kids, because there's language in it, Dramify has it. They have a censored version of it, so you
Oh,
can hear it. Yeah, you can hear it there as well. So we've got
yeah,
multiple
I like that.
places
That's pretty
that you
cool.
can listen to it. Yeah.
I didn't know about Dramify. How long have you known about Dramify?
When I started looking at places that I could put my audio drama, and they're almost exclusively an audio drama platform, and I have to hats off to them because I handed them my audio and they were taking submissions, and I said, I've got this new audio drama, and they really liked it, but they said, the language, we can't do it.
Right.
And they actually took it and censored it for me. They took it and they put the beeps in there for me so that I didn't have to do any of the heavy lifting. And it's on Dramify now. They
Hey,
were they were
I'm,
excellent at accommodating me for that.
my dude. I'm sorry. Uh, I thought I turned this thing off, and I usually have it off. I have a message in from Zombie Safe Area. It says, "Hey, heads up! That green virus that they were talking about on the news, the death toll is rising like crazy, and there's causing in Europe now. It's happening in Europe now. Right now, the fatalities are pushing towards the thousands. Why is this not on the news? What is this? I
It's another thing that should be on the news.
yeah. What's going on? She's oh my god, she's shaking.
Attacks by the undead have been reported in several states across the country. They include Massachusetts, Michigan, New York, Ohio, and Texas.
Are you getting this?
The dead are rising from
My
miracles
phone is completely
for
off.
the human race. At this time, it's expected that more attacks of this nature will occur in several other states in the next few hours. The intent behind the attack is unknown at this time. It has been observed that a by-door exchange of fluids is a method of transmission. If any of these things occur to you, you will turn into
I got another one.
these creatures. This is an extremely dangerous situation.
Michigan, Nebraska, Virginia have just been placed on a statewide shutdown. They also blocked all of the access off and outside. It's I don't have oh my I cannot. We have all of this other stuff going on.
And did they mention the UK?
I think so. I think he did. It's in Europe right now. This thing is called the green ball. Why is it not on the? I don't understand why we're not showing this.
No, I agree entirely.
What
Obviously, this is something that definitely we should be hearing something about that. Yeah.
Why is it not on the news? The only. Here we go. I got a map. I don't know what the heck is going on here. This doesn't make any sense. Wow. Hey, I'm sorry that this is breaking in on your interview.
No, there are things that are more important, obviously.
What? All right, let's see if I can bring this up a little bit more so that we can see. It says I have. Breaking news: an infection is spreading rapidly through an tri-state area. Guys, this is just absolutely insane, guys. I'm going to have to go and check it. What do you mean there's stuff going on? It's what's happening? What can you see?
I'm seeing people talk about it being on Truth Social. Someone just mentioned that.
Yeah. I am. What the hell is it? Hey! I gotta go. I gotta go see what's going on here. Hopefully we can get some of this stuff straightened out. I think I just heard a gunshot. All right, I
No,
gotta
I
go.
understand entirely. I
I
understand.
gotta go.
Be safe.
You too.